Welcome to Module 5 of the Administration Code Regulation 703 KAR 5080. My name is Shara Savage. I'm a consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Module 5 will focus on test security as it relates to monitoring, updating seating charts, administration practices, and test material concerns. Please note, the page number on the slides represents the information found in the regulation document itself. What does test security monitoring look like? Test sessions shall be scheduled to prevent overcrowding in the testing location. Areas accommodating large number of students should have adequate staff to conduct active monitoring. Testing environments, such as arena testing, must be of adequate size and arrangement to allow for active monitoring. An adequate number of staff are required to ensure that monitoring, circulating can be done in the room. Active monitoring at all times during a test administration is the test administrator's responsibility. Checking email, grading papers, etc. does not allow for active monitoring. It is the responsibility of principals and district assessment coordinators to ensure that proper monitoring occurs. What is appropriate and active monitoring? Testing staff occasionally walking up and down the aisles of the classroom, staying visual at all times, and ensuring technology is not being used by students. Other vital considerations are also essential to active monitoring, such as test administrators must be careful not to influence or take ownership of student responses in any manner. This may require suspending of some actions that are routinely done during instruction. It is acceptable to advise all students before testing begins and at the 5-minute warning to do such things as double check their work, looking for items that they may have forgotten to answer, and mark answers clearly by completely filling in the circle. Test administrators should make sure that at the beginning of each testing session that students are in the appropriate area of the test booklet and student response booklet. As part of monitoring, test administrators should make sure that the students do not get off track in their work. It is not acceptable to encourage students to edit their responses by providing an evaluation of student work through tone, gesture, or phrases such as, "You can do better," or "You can write more." Coaching, editing, pointing out errors, or missing answers in the student work or any item of the test to improve student scores is not acceptable. No one at any time is to alter students' answers. Doing so could lead to sanctions by the Educational Professional Standards Board. Altering student answers does not solely mean physically altering, but also means such things as leading, coaching, or giving answers. Are breaks acceptable? Interval or restroom breaks are at the discretion of the school or the district and held between test sessions. Refreshment breaks are acceptable. However, it is crucial that materials are collected, secured away from students, and students should be monitored at all times. For example, if students are taking a stretch break, the materials need to be collected and secured. If students are in a standing position, the view to the testing material are blocked, allowing for pictures to be made of the test materials. If schools or districts has approved interval or restroom breaks, the length of the time, refreshments served, and monitoring of the students must not affect the integrity of the testing in any way. It is advised to schedule tests to avoid conflicts with lunch. However, if a lunch break is required during testing, lunch shall be brought to the students in the testing area. If there are too many students for this to be reasonably accomplished, test materials shall be secured and students shall be escorted to the lunchroom, told not to discuss the test, and sufficiently monitored to prevent discussion of the test item during the entire lunch period, and escorted back to the testing area. In the test preparation activities, we saw how to create seating charts. Now it's time to test. What do we do with these seating charts? It's time to update your seating charts. During the assessment, it is vital that the seating charts that you created during your preparation of the assessment be updated with the current testing information. The seating chart will need to be kept on file in case it is needed later, and if questions would arise. During the administration of the state assessments, it is important to consider best practices on testing time, accommodations, testing order, testing materials, and student behavior. Let's take a closer look at what the regulation says about these best practices. Following testing times are essential for reliable testing administration. Students who miss or leave a test session due to reasonable circumstances, such as illness, doctor's appointments, family emergencies, may pick up with the next test item and use the remaining allotted time during a makeup session. Test administrators should note the balance of time remaining for students leaving during a testing session. The student cannot return to the previously answered item. Students who leave a test session for unwarranted circumstances, such as not returning after a restroom break, may not complete the test part being administered at the time he or she left. Student absences must be excused for valid reasons, such as absences caused by student illness, injury, or serious family or personal circumstances in order to participate in makeup testing. Principals should make the determination as to whether or not the absence is legitimate. KDE recommends that the students test with their peers following an absence. Makeup sessions should be done as soon as possible for their missed test parts. For legitimate absences, students are allowed to pick up with the first unanswered item and are allowed the balance of the allotted time to complete the test session. Students should not work on any items that were already completed prior to their absence. All testing sessions end at the end of the school day. When scheduling test sessions, make certain that the students have adequate time to finish the session or simply do not begin the next test session. Principals should work with BACS, Director of Special Education, teachers, and accommodation providers to make sure everyone understands how to clearly provide accommodations. The routine delivery of instructional services is another way of saying what regularly happens in the classroom. For example, if a student has not used audio CDs throughout the school year, testing time should not be the first attempt at using them. Accommodations are to give students access, not an advantage. They also should not give an advantage or disadvantage to other students. Scribing for a student would be an example of an accommodation that could interfere with the administration of the assessment to other students. In a scribing situation, a student will be giving his or her answers orally, and other students could overhear. Students who receive extended time as part of a service plan are allowed to test with peers who do not receive extended time during the regularly timed session. To use their extended time, those students must move to another location and begin the extended time portion of their test session immediately. The amount of extended time allowed should be in accordance with the IEP, 504 plan, or PSP. The Admissions and Release Committee determines if it is time, time and a half, or double time. Assistive technology, where appropriate, should be considered for use during instruction so that it may be available for use during testing. The use of assistive technology lowers the number of humans needed to provide accommodations. However, if a shortage of personnel occurs, the test schedule can be altered to meet student needs. Changing the testing schedule due to a shortage of personnel for providing accommodations does not mean changing the order of the test. All elementary schedules within the district can be different. For example, one fourth grade can have a totally different schedule from the fourth grade down the road. All fourth grades within the same school must have the same testing schedule. The testing window is the same for each grade level, elementary, middle, and high, within the district. The only situation where it is acceptable to change the order of the testing is when a student needs to make up a test session. If the schedule must be changed for staffing reasons, the test section must still be administered in the order in which they appear in the testing booklet. Rulers may be kept after testing to use for future instruction. DACs and BACs should make sure that the test administrators distribute the rulers provided with the current testing materials and are not using materials from a previous year's administration. The rulers and reference sheets are yours to keep following testing. Please do not modify the ruler by trimming off the end so that the zero is now at the end of the ruler. Learning to read and use the ruler properly is part of the test. Alternate assessment manuals contain specific directions for altering, modifying, and working with alternate materials. Test administrators do not have to wait for an incident to happen during testing to arrange for a student to test in a different location from his or her peers. This is considered a local arrangement. An IEP, 504 plan, or PSP is not required for this adjustment. It is essential to secure testing materials before, during, and after state assessments. What does the regulation say about reporting test material concerns? Errors or suspected errors in test materials should be reported to KDE. The errors may be noticed while monitoring, scanning for good faith effort, or reported by students. It is acceptable for test administrators to read an item reported by a student in order to understand what should be communicated to KDE. At no time should secure information be communicated through unsecure means. Neither email nor texting is considered secure. If discussion pertaining to a secure information is required, appropriate school or district staff are to be notified to arrange for a personal meeting. Only non-secure identifying information should be shared in writing to the appropriate school or district staff. The information shared can be with BACs first for them to forward to the DAC, or the information can be sent directly to KDE. Any written information should only be basic, non-secure item identifying information. For example, K-Prep, Grade 7, Form 3, Math, Item 26, does not have the correct answer choice. Teachers should not discuss items with colleagues during or after the test session. Reported problems or concerns are to be relayed to the appropriate school or district staff. This concludes Module 5 of 6 of the Administration Code Regulation. Please review all 6 of the modules to complete the Administration Code training. If you have specific questions about the Administration Code training, Module 5, or any module-related questions, please feel free to contact KDE DAC Information at dacinfo@education.ky.gov or give us a call at 502-564-4394. Thank you for your time and your participation today.